Good Saturday morning, everyone. Real quick, I want to be brief. I want to talk about my perspective of sports these days. And I talked about this before, but I want to be more clear and specific now. Here's my thing, and this is coming from the horse's mouth. I don't know about all these other people, but I'm talking based on myself. The fact is that I respect sports these days. However, the problem with sports, and even back in the day, like it is now, it's all about the money. And I'm 31, but I have the mindset of an old person, meaning like the music I listen to, Funkadelics, Delphonics, Earth, Wind & Fire, Marvin Gaye, Teddy Pendergrass. It's the same thing with sports. I like the old generation era. I don't like really my generation type, because a lot of guys in the game these days, they complain, they whine. Trust me, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there and say this. MJ and other guys complain too, so it goes both ways. I'm not just looking at it one-sided. And that's the thing about a lot of people these days. Let me be real and say, like, different fans of Kobe, Jordan, whoever. A lot of people at times don't admit the truth, but I keep it real even if I don't like something and state facts. But the point is this. The point is that you can't compare my young generation, including LeBron and other guys, to Jordan. Jordan is like me and LeBron's father, if not uncle or grandfather. We don't compare. We come from two generations. My father and mother, or other people in my family older than me, they're not in my generation. They didn't grow up like me. They weren't taught like me. I don't know about their generation, how they were raised, because I come from a different generation. Just like Jordan can't be compared to Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. That's key number one. Key number two is this. You have different rules in different eras. Like Bill Russell and them played way less games back in the day. Plus, people don't talk about this, but they also did their regular job. They were plumbers and other different things. They didn't just play basketball and make a career out of it like guys do in the game today and back in the 80s, 90s, whatever, early 2000s. But my point is that it wasn't just about basketball like it is now, going out there making money off the fans and busting your butt and stuff. But it's so many things to look at. Like, a lot of guys these days at times get tired and lazy, don't want to stick defense, all this other type of stuff. It was kind of the same way back then. But also, let me say this. This is a key thing I tell people all the time. Like, Jordan and other guys, especially Jordan, he busted his butt off. He played, especially knowing that he was the star player of the Bulls. If they didn't have him, if he didn't play, they were going to lose. So he played and said, Coach Phil, put me in. And other times, Pippen and people were begging him, hey, Jordan, we need you. So what I'm saying is that that's the thing about Jordan and other guys, Hakeem Olajuwon, Larry Bird, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, and so on. They played not only because they loved the game, but they did it because it had a reason and purpose behind it. Guys these days, Ben Simmons, other guys, like I heard and saw yesterday, LeBron, for example, had faked the injury. He wasn't even hurt all the way, that he came back in the game like it was nothing. Then you got Devin Booker and all these other guys in this young generation of mine to be flopping like it ain't nothing. Now, of course, Jordan sat there and stiff-armed and pushed people off and got away with it because he was Jordan. But what I'm saying is, people don't want to look at both sides. I look at stuff that Jordan did he had no business doing, but then I give him credit where he was good. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron is the best in the game right now. I'm not a LeBron hater. People be thinking I am, but the truth is I'm not. What I'm trying to say is, you can't compare different eras where you had different rules and the game has evolved and changed. It's not fair. That's like trying to compare an apple to an orange. It doesn't make sense. It's not compatible with each other. They're opposite yolks. They don't relate to one another. And my key thing is this. Like, if you want to look at who changed the game, like, of course, Jordan changed the game based on how he played and who he was and things like that, his creativity, everything. That's why I say he's the GOAT besides 2, 3 Peats and other things. However, if you look at different categories, you can't say that one person is a GOAT fairly. Because as far as rings, Bill Russell is the GOAT. As far as points, LeBron is the GOAT. 2 3-peats, nobody ever did that except Jordan. It would never probably be done again. So it's different categories to look at who is the GOAT, who's the best in the game, and the reason why. So that's the best way, that's the fair way to say who's the GOAT. And I'm just technically being real. So with all that being said and done, I don't really compare players. And why would people compare Jordan, a shooting guard, to LeBron, a power forward? That's stupid. That makes no sense at all. To be fair, why don't people compare people who play the players who play the same position? That's the fairest and best way to go about it. Now, if you want to compare Jordan to LeBron, you need to compare Jordan when he was a power forward, much older, on the Washington Wizards. But he was tall and skinny like me and Kobe on the Bulls, and when he grew up playing North Carolina in college. That's all I'm trying to say. So people don't understand and don't look at the whole picture, or some people don't, like me. Like I said, I'm not calling Jordan a GOAT because I kind of think he is to a certain point, what he did. But overall, I can't say he is, because nobody's a GOAT, because it's different things. Like, let me say this too. A lot of people didn't do things like Jordan. Jordan got MVPs. He got Defensive Players of the Year 2 times. He dunked from the free throw line, which is not easy. I thought it used to be easy, but shoot, you talking about a good number of feet or inches from the free throw line to the goal. That's not easy. Then you got to have that hang time, that type of Superman jumping power, to jump in air. He had hang time. Jordan had hang time like nobody else. And I'm just being realistic about it. The way that the game was played, Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon, like now, they don't call traveling and carrying. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to go ahead and admit and tell the truth. Jordan, other guys traveled and carried back then. Yes, I get that. But now, James Harden taking all these 3, 4, 5 steps, they don't call nothing. What do you call it? They carry. This is carry when you go over the ball. John Mapovich, Mapovich or whatever back in the day, and other guys in the back, old school era, they just dribbled up and down. The farther you go back, the more fundamental, the more basic the game was. The more you come to the new era here, it's about crisscross. It's about all this street ball. It's about like what I used to watch when it came on TV, street ball, The Professor, Escalade, Hot Sauce, all these other guys who crossed you over and dunked on you and did stuff. That's what basketball is now. That's why I still like it, but I don't like it like I used to, because it's all about the money. It's all about politics and entertainment. It's no different than my WWE wrestling, because they out there to put on a show for you. But it's not as real, and they don't really do it because they love the game like Jordan them did. They just doing it out there to make their money. They out there because they want to sit there and have their fans to brag on them to other people. So why sit there and not just respect LeBron, MJ, and everybody else's game and leave it at that, and stop comparing these guys who really don't relate to another? Why would you compare Shaq to Dirk Nowitzki when Dirk Nowitzki could shoot threes and Shaq couldn't? Or why would you compare Shaq to Allen Iverson when Allen Iverson is 5'11", Shaq is about 7'1", 7'2"? That's all I'm saying about MJ and LeBron. They don't compare. They are two different players. Jordan was 220, 230 like me, and was a shooting guard until he got on the Wizards, and then turned to a power forward, which LeBron is. They don't compare. They're incomparable, incompatible to one another. And just like my boy Tom Brady, like, I keep it real about him. Like, I'm a Brady fan. I'm a Patriots fan, but they don't put money in my pocket. They don't pay my bills or nothing. They don't care about me. They don't even know who I am. I'm just a fan. So why can't people just respect the game and respect, like, even if you don't like a player, that's fine, but respect that person. Meaning, don't go around calling that person a curse word and this and that because you don't like them. You don't have to like them, but just say, okay, it is what it is, but I don't like him. I respect such and such, but I don't like him. Because that's what would cause less drama and more peace. And then the other thing I'm going to say is this. Lastly, like I said about my boy, people in the past, and I get this talk about how my boy Brady and the Patriots cheated and this and that, Spygate, deflate. I get that. Okay. But if you're going to talk about that, keep it real and look at the whole picture. Look at what I look at. Look at how players in football get away with pass interference and holding other stuff all the time. The refs don't call it. Or how refs do call stuff that they shouldn't have called. Like in basketball, you can't even lay a pinky or finger on somebody without getting called for a foul. Other times, people commit fouls and don't get called for nothing at all. So that's not fair. Like life ain't fair sometimes. So what I'm saying is, that's the problem. Like Draymond Green, and people know this. If Draymond Green didn't get suspended Game 5 back in 2016, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, LeBron and them, the Cavs, wouldn't have won that year in 2016, 7 years ago. The Warriors would have 5 rings, or Stephen Curry to be more, because the Warriors won back in the day. I forgot how many rings, but I know Curry and them would have 5 rings now. But that's not my point. My main point is that people have to look at the fact that refs play a major part. They're the top people. They're like the president or governor of the game. They call the shots. They make the difference besides players playing their role. So if referees screw up, that's going to have a big impact on the game. And that's why a lot of people get mad, because a lot of refs screw up games these days, and it messes around and causes things to get out of hand and other things like that. And my last point is this. Like I said, I respect sports, but it's all about the money. It's all about entertainment. It's not like it used to be back. And what I don't like to understand is that Jordan and them, I feel like, should have got paid as much, just like back in the day. I heard somebody tell me before that bowlers did get paid a lot back in the 80s, like $100,000 and stuff like that, which is probably true. But now on the PBA, a lot of bowlers, you may only make like 50 or something like that thousand, and I'm talking about making it to the show and winning first place. Now, of course, if you make it to like the top 32 and the top 16, stuff like that, the top 64, things like that, you make a certain pay cut. You made it to the cut. But besides that, or other than that, you really have to sit there and make it to the top 5 step ladder formats to make the big dollar bills. And I'm saying the same thing about sports. The fact is that Jordan and them, in my opinion, I feel like they should have got paid a lot more than what they got paid back in the day. Jordan himself is making money, though, because he makes shoes. He was in Hanes commercials. He does a lot. But my point is, a lot of guys these days in my generation are soft. They lazy. Ben Simmons just started playing about 2 months ago or whatever. But he was sitting on a bench for like years, for like a year or two. And people were wondering, what is up with this guy? Why is he not playing? And a lot of people, like, I respect Anthony Davis and Zion and people, but you tell me these guys these days got all this technology and stuff, but they want to sit there and, I meant to say, they sit there and keep getting hurt. Why is your body not in shape to the point where you sat there and you keep getting hurt for some random reason? You need to keep your body in shape. You need to have trainers who work with you and make sure that your body is in shape to where you won't keep getting hurt and you out for 5-6+ games. And Iguodala, who just retired today, was a major fact, because he got hurt a few months ago or whatever. Even though it didn't matter, they still were going to lose to the Lakers anyway. But my point is that when you think about that, it sucks that a lot of these players get paid millions. But in my opinion, not all of them, but a lot of players these days don't bust their butts like Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and all these other guys back in the day. A lot of guys are lazy. They play offense. They get tired and just sit there and let the other players run down the court and don't want to play defense. Not everybody, but a lot of times, or a lot of players. And I'm just being real. Like I said, Jordan and some guys did that at times back in the day too. But at the same time, Jordan and other guys, and his Clyde Drexler, Dr. J, Moses Malone, George Gervin, Daryl Dawkins, so many other guys I can name, they sat there and played. They played hard. They fought. They did what they needed to do. Michael Jordan did. A lot of people say it was a flu. It wasn't a flu. He played. He had food poisoning. He could have died. He sat there, and you tell me a person with food poisoning was sitting there sick as a dog and he busted his butt and played like he wasn't sick. But you tell me guys these days, if they have a little pinky injury, they gonna sit out. If like they talk about this person is likely to play, maybe they don't know. If you love the game, if you call yourself a GOAT, or if people are bragging on you, whether KD or James Harden or whoever, then you need to sit there and play like guys back in the day did. Like when Jordan, them guys got hurt, they sat there and wrapped themselves up with type of tape and different stuff. They found a way to play no matter what. Guys these days want to sit on a bench, be lazy, sitting there in a little nice old outfit or suit. Come on, man. Like, the game has changed, and it is nothing about money and entertainment. That's why the Bible states the love of money is the root of all evil. And I'm going to say this last thing. Like, while I'm on money, I just want to say this. The problem with the world, in my opinion, is this. Because they always said on TV, and this is true, you do the crime, you do the time. Well, what I don't understand is this. Why is it that you can pay your way out of jail, meaning that if you pay a $90,000 whatever bond, you don't have to worry about going to jail no more? I may be wrong, but I think that's what that means about paying a bond. So that don't make no sense. I know that the government and the judge and them, the police or whatever, care about if you pay that bond, but still, don't you think that if a person just killed 5 or whatever people, that it's a good chance if you let them pay their bond and they get let free, that they gonna do the same thing again? That makes no sense. That person needs to reap what they sow and go to jail and think about what they did. Not that I'm wishing nothing bad, but it's the fact that they did wrong, so they need to reap wrong for what they did. Same thing about good. If you do good, you're gonna reap good. It's gonna follow you. But all I'm trying to say here is this, that I respect the game and all players. People just need to sit there and stop comparing different eras and different players who never played together to one another. And I don't think I said this, but Stephen Curry, for example, with the way he shoots a lot of threes and stuff, or players in general, back in the day, the farther you go back, players wouldn't have been able to shoot those type of threes. The coach probably would have pulled you out the game and sat you on a bench, if not had a talk with you. But I'm saying it because a lot of players talk about how Jordan couldn't make it in this era, or these players these days could make it back in the day. Well, nobody but God really knows that, so it's no point of really talking about this or that if you don't know about it, because we can't go back in the past. We can't make Michael Jordan them young again. We can't sit there and bring LeBron and them back to the 1970s, 80s, and 90s and stuff. But all I'm saying is that I respect the game, but in my personal preference or opinion, basketball and football, sports in general, are about the money. It always has been. It's just really about the money now, unlike ever before. And it also has to deal with LA, it has to deal with New York, and most importantly, Vegas. All these people betting on games, doing FanDuel. The referees, like the Detroit Lions got in trouble about 2 months ago because 3 or 4 players betted on this past football season's games. Do you think that's right? No. Your job is to go out there and play for the team and make your money and provide for your family. But you a football player and you out here gambling on your own football games. Like, but people wonder why people like me and other folks don't really get into sports these days, because it's not fair and it's not really as good or like it used to be. It's about money, and a lot of stuff is set up and rigged. I'm not saying all these games are rigged, but a lot of games are just set up and it's not as real or real at all like it used to be. So people got to think about what I'm saying and stuff like that. It's not real. Like, well, let me say some of it is, but like I said, if referees are going to sit there and screw up calls where you barely touch the person and they call you for a foul, they might as well make it flag basketball and flag football. And if they're going to sit there and call a foul on you when you didn't touch nobody at all, then that's some low down messed up nonsense. Or if you did foul a person and they didn't call a foul on you, then that's wrong. That's all I'm saying about sports. The referees need to start doing their job better. Same thing with Michael Jordan. That time he pushed off Byron Scott or whoever it was on the Utah Jazz and hit the game-winning shot, Jordan was wrong. He should have got called for it. But he's MJ, so of course he gonna get away with it. Like my boy Tom Brady. When you famous and popular, the referees are gonna be on your side a lot of time. That's kind of self-explanatory and common sense. I don't agree with it. It's wrong, but it is what it is. So anyway, I didn't mean to talk that long. I didn't think it was gonna be no 20 minutes, but that's all I really wanted to say. That's my personal preference and view of sports. It's just not the same. And like I said, you can't compare Jordan's era to Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, because the more you go back in the older days, the more you're just going to see basic basketball where they walk down the court slow and it gets kind of boring. That's why people are fascinated with all this crisscrossing and nonsense that James Harden and people be doing, which I get. But if you take more than 1 or 2 steps, that's traveling. And if you come around the ball, that's carries. They don't call it no more. That's why I don't respect the game, because they're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing and getting away with it. But if you did it back in the day, even when Vince Carter, Allen Iverson guys played, Cuttino Mobley and them, you would get called for traveling or carries or whatever. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. It is what it is. So may God bless you and your family on this blessed, wonderful Saturday. And by the way, I almost forgot, happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers out there. We wouldn't be in the world. Nobody in the world would be here without their mother. So God bless you, mothers out there, and may everybody watching this video be blessed and have a wonderful weekend with your family. God bless you.